Ozzy Osbourne was involved in an incident at the Des Moines in 1982 when he chewed the head off a live bat during a show. The terrible incident, which occurred precisely 41 years ago, made international headlines and provided the religious right with a potent new talking point whenever they railed against heavy metal music. When Osbourne arrived in Des Moines for the infamous gig, he had been on the road for well over a year. During that period, he developed a ritual in which he would pummel the crowd with raw meat and they would consume whatever insane substances they could sneak into the venues. "I always liked old movies that used to have these custard pie fights," Osbourne said in a documentary. "It gave me the idea to throw bits of meat and animal parts into the audience instead of pie. It was amusing to me. They'd throw back sheep testicles, live snakes, dead rats, and other bizarre items. A live frog was once thrown onto the stage. The frog was the largest I'd ever seen, and it landed on its back. Someone tossed a live bat in Des Moines that night. I thought it was a rubber bat," said Osbourne. "I picked it up, put it in my mouth, crunched it down, and bit into it, being the clown that I am." He knew he'd made a terrible mistake as blood filled his mouth and folks in the crowd stared on in terror. "Bats are the world's leading carriers of rabies," he stated. "And then I had to go to the hospital, where they started giving me rabies shots. I had one for each buttock and had to have one every night." The Des Moines bat thrower has never come forward publicly, but whoever was to blame got Osbourne more press than he'd ever gotten in his life. "It got to the point where people expected me to do crazier and crazier things," he admitted. He then urinated on the Alamo a few weeks later when the tour stopped in San Antonio, Texas. For that, he was taken off to jail and barred from playing in the city for the next decade. Throughout the 1980s, the bat incident came up in practically every interview Osbourne gave, and he eventually became tired of excusing himself over and over. But he's come to accept its odd role in music history, selling cuddly beheadable bat toys and even NFT bats. But 41 years ago, he was not fond of the bat event. He was spitting warm bat blood and braced himself for a painful series of rabies vaccinations.